Welcome back to Southeast Texas Weekly. Let's talk to two gentlemen who have distinguished themselves as great Americans in Southeast Texas. Godfrey Leggett is here, Democratic activist, and the great Jeff Sadeghi with the Southeast Texas Tea Party. Good to see you both.
Nice to be here.
Well, what do you think of Dr. Carson? What do you think of these comments that he's going to use armed drones on the border?
I think it's just about as ridiculous as the rest of the Republican Party's position on illegal aliens.
Illegal aliens, all right.
Stupid.
So he did reference the use of military drones in saying to CNN, I'm suggesting we do what we need to do to secure the border, whatever that is. Sounds like an extreme position in your view, Jeff Sadeghi?
Well, in the context, if I remember right, he was talking about places where they could hide weapons, where the cartels could hide weapons. So, the thing about the border is, if we don't know who's coming across.
Oh, you're saying context makes a difference here, that he's talking about the quite armed cartels coming across. Is what you're saying?
That was what I understood.
Oh,
Well,
you don't
we
mean
can't
just
even-
families with... to hear James Shannon tell it, I thought he was just talking about, families of...
We can't
of,
even attack
immigrants.
ISIS with those armed drones without having collateral damage and killing innocent people.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't have any faith that it would be any better on our border.
Speaking of your warm thoughts, how do you feel about the jailing of Kim Davis, the county clerk in Rowan County?
It's about time. Should have happened 3 months ago.
About time? Is it an impingement on religious freedoms
No.
in this country?
No.
Jeff Sadeghi, what do you think?
It's going to be really interesting to watch it play out. The only reason the government ever got involved in licensing marriage in the first place was as a racist law to prevent interracial marriages. So, like, I had the family Bible from the Woods family, and all the marriages and births are written down on the front page of the Bible, and the government was never involved, and I think that's how it should be.
Would you support such a thing?
No.
Rand Paul is talking about
What if I'm an
contracts.
atheist or an agnostic or just some other faith
Rand
and I
Paul
want to get married?
is talking
No,
about
I don't have to go to
contracts
a
as
church
opposed
to get
to...
married. So sorry.
What do we think, guys, about this matter of the police shootings becoming, I don't know if you could say it's sort of at a crucible now, but we just continue to
Our
see more and more of
population
these
is
police
losing
shootings.
respect for the police, and that's a bad thing. It's a
bad
dangerous thing. Okay?
It's a dangerous
we
thing
need the
that they're-
police. Otherwise, if we didn't have them, the wolf would be at the door. Okay?
Should the president step up and become vocal in his denouncement?
There's so many reasons why we're in this pickle right now. Okay? Partially, it's because the police do the expedient thing. They go after the guys they can get, which lots of times turns out to be black people. Okay? And they've been treated badly. Not all of them, but a lot of them. Most cops are decent, good people, but we're suffering here for a few bad apples.
Well, it's not just that. We have groups that are, build themselves on racial division and division between the sexes. It's like,
yes, they
I
do.
got no problem with, hey, let's not
Clarify your
have any-
point. What groups are you talking about?
Well, Joe Evans made that viral video about the Black Lives Matter. It's how about you're going to get more people to agree with you if you say all lives matter and we need to not incite violence
Jeff,
against.
that's because they're tired of being picked on. Okay?
But again, you're going to draw more people to support if you just say, hey, let's not have violence against anybody.
I'll tell you what, we could eliminate a lot of this lack of respect for the law by doing away with the war on drugs.
It sounds like
completely.
you just trivialized the decision by an African American in Houston, Texas, to walk up behind a police officer
No, I
named
didn't
Darren
trivialize it at
Goforth
all.
and shoot him in the back
that
of the
was
head.
a terrible thing to do wrong. Okay?
Okay.
I didn't say that. I'm saying that
you just
back-
made the point that
Kevin.
that African Americans are unduly treated on a regular,
and some
systematic,
people that are-
institutional basis.
Some
and
people,
that,
black Americans that are not quite mentally stable, might react improperly. Okay, I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying that.
what
a
is wrong with
general
the Joe
lack of
Evans
respect-
reference to all lives matter? What's wrong
I
with
don't
that
care
sentiment?
about that. It's all semantics anyway. All lives do matter. Okay, but these people want some consideration because they feel like they're left out. Okay, and the war on drugs, just like during Prohibition, we started having lack of respect for the law because there was all these people wanted to have alcohol, and they didn't respect the police because the police were keeping them from an activity that they saw no problem with and wanted to do. And the same thing is true for the war on drugs. We
See, I
should
can agree with you
legalize
there.
all drugs and get rid of the money.
I just talked to a friend in Washington. Hey, you guys having a bunch of crime spree because you legalized pot? He goes, the biggest deal is nothing's changed.
Right. You can't even keep drugs out of prison, for goodness sake. What's the war on drugs all about?
Donald Trump, politics. Donald Trump attacks Jeb Bush. And we knew this would become interesting at some point, and I guess it's
I
been
am
interesting
amazed
for a little
at
while.
Donald Trump.
What are you most amazed by?
I didn't think he'd last this long.
Ah.
Yeah, me neither.
I thought every time he
He got
shot
some
his
staying
mouth off,
power?
oh, that's the end. He's gone.
He's now
No.
saying that Jeb Bush, as George W. before him, speaking to a crowd, I believe in Florida, actually made these references to.
He was in Texas, actually.
He was
Spanish.
speaking here.
Yeah,
Beg your pardon, and he's speaking in Spanish, and he's speaking to a group of Hispanic leaders. And Donald Trump then says, when you're in America, you need to speak English.
That's nonsense.
Nonsense.
And this just goes to show you how really crazy the Tea Party is.
Well-
Because the Tea Party is who's supporting him.
All right.
Yeah, well, actually,
crazy
the Tea
man,
Party
let's
isn't
hear,
supporting it. The Tea
your-
Party is about the Constitution. Donald
Well,
Trump is not about the
Majority,
Constitution.
I bet you
And-
if you check, the majority of his supporters are rabid Tea Party.
And by the way, when I lived in Mexico for 3 years, there was zero accommodation of my not being able to speak Spanish.
English.
You know, so I had to deal with it all on my own. No one, didn't expect anyone to
Seems like a
accommodate
very
me.
rational guy. He's with the Tea Party, and he seems like a
in
fairly
Italy, they don't
rational
have press 2 for English, You speak Italian.
guy. We're going to be back on Southeast Texas Weekly in just a couple of seconds. We've got to talk about Joe Biden. Will he run for president? And much more. Coming up.